You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you might not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. They make it super simple. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with coverage options tailored to your choices. Plus, you'll see which discounts you may qualify for, like the online quote discount or savings for paying in full. In fact, 99% of Progressive Auto customers earn at least one discount. See if you could save when you switch to Progressive. You'll feel good about making a savvy choice. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little extra cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome into Bucks University. I am Nathan Marzion, joined as always by Stev, aka Bucks Breakdown. You can follow him on Twitter at Bucks_Breakdown, myself at Nathan Marzion, the podcast at BucksU_pod. We are officially done with the draft lottery. We know the Bucks position at long last. We've been kind of waiting months and months for this, kind of since the middle of the season when we knew the Bucks were bad and this was just going to come down to where we could be, in draft positioning. And we just were like, okay, trying to get the best odds possible. And for a little bit, it looked like we could maybe make a run at the top 5, and then obviously fell down to that in that 10 spot. And the Bucks end up with the 10th pick in the draft. The lottery went about as expected for them. So no great luck for them, but they also didn't fall. I was kind of expecting them. I don't know. It just was one of those things. I was expecting them to get 11. I was like, they'll somehow fall a spot and Miami will probably jump up, or Golden State or someone like that. But surprisingly, like, none of that stuff happened. It was, the top 4 were 4 teams that none of them were ones that I shouldn't say not that I wasn't expecting. I mean, they were all pretty bad teams, but none of those teams that like Golden State or Miami or even OKC, like none of those teams jumped up. I thought maybe some of those would have it seems like every year one of those teams jumps up in that 10 or 11 to 14 range, at least in recent years, but not this year. It ends up going Washington, Utah, Memphis, Chicago, top 4 picks. Indiana loses their pick, which was the best part of the lottery to me, to the Clippers. I mean, that was fantastic. I got to pick 5 when they were announcing it, and I was like, please, Clippers, 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 Clippers. And I was so happy when they pulled that card out and Indiana loses their pick, which is huge. I mean, just regardless of whether the Bucks end up contending or not, I just did not want to see Indiana add one of the top 4 guys in this class to that team, and also getting not Hardenstein. Zubats. I was just like, please don't let that happen. And yeah, thankfully that did not happen. Their tanking was not rewarded, and they kind of trade Mathurin, the 5th pick, and a couple other picks for Zubats, essentially, right?
Yeah, I think it was like a 2029 first too, right?
Yeah, something like that. And a second, something in that range, but a steep price to pay. And they took that gamble. I think they had like a 53% chance of keeping the pick and a 47% chance of losing it. So nearly a coin flip, and didn't work out for them. So that's tough. But hey, Bucks 10th pick, your initial thoughts, and then we'll get into our initial favorite guys at that spot.
I think someone had tweeted it, but like it was nerve-wracking, but for like 20 seconds, and then the Bucks just got the 10th pick, and I was like, oh, okay. So I mean, that was cool that we didn't have to wait, but you would have liked to see a jump. But I mean, they're in a decent spot. I think there are going to be some guys there for them. There's plenty of options there's going to be plenty of options there, and I think with like the way things are shaking out, I think there might be someone there that we're not expecting, which will also be cool as well. So I mean, just a ton of different ways they can go as him.
Yeah, when you have a top 10 pick, especially in a class that's as good as this one, and we can talk about, I guess, later about how good we actually think it is. I know there's some conversation going on about that and how deep people actually think this class is, if it's overrated, et cetera, et cetera. But regardless, I mean, when you have a top 10 pick, there's going to be options of good players there. And there are going to be players available that end up being really good NBA players. And it's just a matter of, you got to pick them. But compared to where we usually are picking late first, second round, where, I mean, there's a realistic chance that there's only 1 or 2 actual NBA players available at the time you pick. And it's very, very hard to, weed out those guys from all the rest of them. So it's just obviously much, much less likely to actually get a good player at those spots. But, picking 10th, you obviously have a pretty good chance at getting at least a decent contributor. I mean, getting a star still not super likely, but there's a chance. And then getting a decent contributor, there is a pretty good chance. I mean, you're hoping that you can hit on a top 10 pick to at least be somebody that gives you a few good years of contribution at the very least. And then at the very best, they turn into a franchise cornerstone piece. So, yeah, I mean, that's something I said right away. I did a live, Spaces on Twitter after the lottery. And I kind of said that where I was like, there's going to be guys available. Like I regardless of who goes in that top 10 and who, maybe some guys go a little bit higher than we think, maybe some guys slide a little bit, but regardless, there's going to be several good players available at the time the Bucks pick. They just have to pick the right guys. But I mean, yeah, I'm glad they didn't fall any further than 10. I know people were talking about how the Bulls, who had the 9th best odds and only, what were they? They were not that many. They were a game worse than us and ended up being a team. They were the team that jumped into the top 4. And so people were like, oh, if the Bucks had only lost, 1 or 2 more games, they would have been the team that jumped up. But it also wouldn't have made that much of a difference because we still would have swapped with Atlanta. So we would have gotten the 8th pick, not the 4th pick. So I don't know. It doesn't make that much of a difference in the end, but it is just kind of funny how all that stuff works. And even just a few percentage points can make a little bit of a difference. And that's why, I mean, going back to February, whenever it was that we decided to hop off the ship for this season and just go full tank mode as fans, me and you. So I don't know, that's kind of why we do that. It's like, man, if we could have improved the odds a little bit, maybe there's a chance that we get a little bit higher, but hey, it's okay. Again, I'll take 10th. It's not fantastic, but I'll take it.
No, yeah, we'll take 10th. It is what it is. And like, the more I keep looking at this, the class itself, I think, like I said, there's going to be guys there that can definitely contribute. So yeah, like you said, could have been, I don't know how far they could, or how much higher they could have even been, depending on when they would have started, the real tank. But I mean, it's probably not even worth talking about anymore.
So I do think, I mean, with the Clippers getting the pick, and I mean, Brooklyn, Sacramento falling a little bit to the point where they're not going to take, because the top 4 guys, none of those guys are point guards. So I think,
yeah,
the thought was if Brooklyn, Sacramento, those teams are in the top 4, obviously they're going to take one of those top 4 guys, and that might leave some point guards to possibly fall a little bit, because those are teams that we're kind of thinking want a point guard. The Clippers are also a team that possibly is in the market for a point guard. So then them getting the pick, Brooklyn, Sacramento falling to 6 and 7. You've got Dallas at 9. Like, there are several teams now that are really primed to be taking a guard, I think, in that top 9. So I do think that, I mean, the chances of like Acuff Wagler's not happening. Fleming's probably isn't happening, although the combine measurements and stuff came out, which definitely, I think, took him down a notch on a lot of people's boards probably. But then he had some good, combine stuff today where he was shooting well and had a good vertical jump and all that stuff. So it's a give and take. But I do think the chances of any of those guys falling were decreased by the lottery, just with, again, where some of these teams ended up. And some of these teams that maybe want guards are in a position where they're going to be, like, again, in that 5 to 9 slot where there's going to be Wagler, Acuff, possibly Michael Brown, possibly Burries, I don't know, Flemings. So yeah, I just think that was kind of one of my takeaways after I kind of thought about it. I was like, yeah, it's probably a little bit less likely that any of those guys do fall to the Bucks.
Did you say you like guard for the Clippers?
Yeah, like I could see, I think that's definitely realistic for them. Now they could go Mara. I mean, I wouldn't, like, I don't know. Right. They could go many different ways, but I mean, yeah. I think point guard is something they could be looking for, but they do have Garland now. I forget they have Garland.
Right. I think Garland's a one for sure, but I don't even know if that, messes with their decision at all. But I do like them for Mara. He's continued to rise for not only me, but like for everyone, it seems like. Brooklyn, yeah. The Kings for sure. Hawks probably. And yeah, even, the Mavericks who have Kyrie. I think he's there next year. Yeah, probably a guard too. So that's a run right there of like 4 teams, even if you're not including the Clippers that could go guard. So yeah, I mean, that leaves the Bucks in a spot where, yeah, there might be like one of those guys left. So I think it's going to be interesting to see like which one of those guys, or like, who's going to separate themselves. Because like we said, Acuff probably going to be gone. Wagler probably gone. And then like, who's that third guard? Is it going to be like Brown or Phyline? Like, I just wonder how that shakes out.
I still think I still think Fleming is my first guard of the class. Mine. I don't think he's going to go first, but I still think he's mine. But I do think he'll go top 10. I don't think he'll be available when the Bucks pick. And look, I'm not going to let
sticking by him, man.
I'm not going to let measurements be the end all be all. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I obviously pay attention to that stuff, and I'm not going to sit there and be like, I don't care that his wingspan's only 6'3". He's so good. Like, okay, that is a lot shorter than I thought it was, and he measured out shorter than I thought he was. He was, lighter than I thought he was, which that can change. They can put on weight, but it was definitely something that was like, okay, maybe I should not be quite as high on him. I still am pretty high on him. I still would take him with a top 10 pick, but it opened my eyes a little bit to like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself with some of what I think of him. But yeah, regardless, I do think if I had to bet, I would bet all of Acuff, Wagler, Flemings are gone by the time the Bucks pick. And like you said, I kind of missed on it. I forgot about Atlanta there at 8, who also could be in the market for a point guard. So yeah, there's just going to be a lot of teams that I think eventually settle on some of these guards. And there could be a surprise where, yeah, maybe a Phylon or someone like that, or Michael Brown, a Burries or something like that goes higher than like a Flemings and pushes him back. And that definitely could happen. But yeah, I just don't think we're going to we might not have as many options as we could have had in some scenarios during this draft, where there might have been a couple of these guys that maybe possibly fell to 10. I don't see that happening anymore, but
what would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you might not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. They make it super simple. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with coverage options tailored to your choices. Plus, you'll see which discounts you may qualify for, like the online quote discount or savings for paying in full. In fact, 99% of Progressive Auto customers earn at least one discount. See if you could save when you switch to Progressive. You'll feel good about making a savvy choice. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little extra cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Yeah, I mean, we can get into just who are our favorite guys that we expect to be available at the 10th pick. Before we do it real quick, Bucks trivia. We haven't done this in a while.
Ooh.
Who is the last Bucks lottery pick to make an all-star game with the team?
Oh, man. I mean, am I missing somebody? Like, is it not Giannis?
No, Giannis wasn't lottery. He was 15.
Oh, 15. Okay, yeah. Dang. Oh, man. So then would you have to go... Bogut didn't make an all-star game, right?
Correct. No. He did make all NBA. I don't know how he made all NBA. third team one year. I think it was 2010.
Okay.
But didn't make
So
the
then it has to be
All-Star.
Ray.
Just a second. So Ray Allen was drafted by Minnesota, though. Did he get traded on draft night, though?
I
so.
feel like I remember him wearing a Bucks hat.
I was looking through the list. So my answer was going to be.
Were you thinking Big Dog?
So yes, my answer was going to be Big Dog. But
okay.
I guess technically speaking, we did draft Ray Allen. So yes, it would be Ray Allen.
Yeah, for some reason I do remember Ray in a Bucks hat, like just picture wise. So
yeah, it's been a little bit.
I mean, yeah, right. So hopefully whoever's here at 10.
Because the other ones we had during that span were Marcus Hayslip from Tennessee, averaged 3.5 points per game for his career, was a lottery pick in 2002. We had TJ Ford in 2003, Andrew Bogut, number 1 overall in 2005, Ejian Leon, number 6 overall in 2007, Joe Alexander, number 8 overall in 2008, Brandon Jennings, 10th overall in 2009, drafted and traded Jimmer Fredette, 10th overall 2011, John Henson, 14th overall in 2012, Jabari Parker, 2nd overall 2014, Don Maker, 10th overall 2016. Those are all of our lottery picks since 2000.
What was Dante? What pick?
He was 17. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So our favorite guys, at least initially, for the 10th pick. We won't go too deep into these because we're going to be doing. We're still deciding that we're either going to go podcast on each position and go through the guys at each position for a podcast, or we're going to just do separate podcasts for each player. But regardless, we're going to go deeper into these guys, but we'll use this podcast just to get our initial thoughts out there, initial favorite guys. And this is subject to change. I mean, I have the guys I like, and then sometimes as I'm going through the process, again, measurements come out and you see, maybe you dig deeper into the analytics, the film. I mean, I don't watch film because the game's played on a spreadsheet, but you dig deeper into the analytics and you figure out, okay, maybe there's stuff that you're like, maybe I don't like this guy quite as much, or maybe I do like this guy a little bit more. So this stuff is subject to change. It doesn't have to be written in Sharpie, but give me a name, just one of your names that you like for the 10th pick.
All year I've been the Cam Carr guy, so I have to say him first. I think. Man,
reach. No, I'm just kidding. I like Cam Carr too.
No, but I think we did a podcast. Man, it had to be a few months ago at the very least, and it could have been as early as beginning of the season. But he was a name that I threw out there. But yeah, I mean, I really like what I've seen from him. I don't think he has the ceiling of some of these other guys that we might throw out, but I think he's going to be a very good role player for a very long time in the league. I just think he has the physical build to be just that for sure.
So for those that don't know, Cam Carr, a 6'5" kind of guard / wing from Baylor, but he's more of a wing because he's got a 7'1" wingspan. I mean, he is super long. He is kind of like that. I'm trying to think of the comp that people, I mean, Jalen Williams is a little bit thrown out there where he's not as big as Jalen Williams physically, but just with the long arms and kind of that, in between 2 and 3. And my favorite comp has been Devin Vassell. And
I like that.
Yeah. That's one I had down for him, but he's definitely got some upside. He's only 185 pounds right now, so he's got to put on some weight. But again, that's something that, if that's one of the bigger concerns with you, that's one of the most easily fixable things in the NBA is just putting on weight, putting on muscle. That's going to happen. But he's got the length. He's got, I think the frame and everything and obviously, I guess I shouldn't say obviously because some of these people don't know who he is, but he's got the athleticism and the athletic profile to really stand out and have that potential to be a possible star. And I don't think that's crazy to say. I mean, I think he's going to rise up draft boards. I think he's going to be someone who right now and in this early stage of the process is a late first round pick. And I think by the time the draft rolls around, he'll be closer to, I don't want to say a surefire lottery pick, but he'll be up there. And Again, similar to,
he's not a lotto pick, man. I think that's just like where he'll end up being like someone who's, I don't know, he could shoot it.
And it's, go ahead. I was going to say it's similar to, I mean, Jalen Williams in the draft process was the same way where I remember early on watching Jalen Williams highlights and Jalen Williams of the Thunder, watching his highlights from Santa Clara, and the Bucks, I think that year had the 24th pick, and the year we took Marjan that year. And I was like, I love this guy. Like, I think he's awesome. And I'm like, I can't believe like this guy's going to be an early second round pick. Like, we got to get this guy. And it just slowly but surely, he just rose and rose and rose and rose. And I was like, by the time the draft came around, I was like, yeah, we have no chance of getting him anymore. But I could see Cam Carr doing, following a similar trajectory with all of his skills with the combine measurements. Now, he's had a great combine. His vertical jump is insane. His wingspan is insane. Like all the physical stuff is great. So, I could see him definitely rising up, someone that I definitely like as well. And I liked him, before, like you said, before the combine stuff all came out, like I definitely liked him. And now even more after seeing some of these measurements.
So real quick too, I have the combine measurements. So he measured in at 6'4.5", 185 pounds, like you said, and then a 7-foot wingspan. So like the wingspan is legit. I think he's a real freak athlete. It's like some of his like film of him catching on 3-point line and like ripping through. He's at the rim. He's getting bumped off his spot when he gets to the rim, but like he gets up and he gets downhill quick. So he's a fun guy to watch when you're just kind of going through the film, because you could see like the athleticism in his game. He doesn't have like a ton of wiggle. He's not, someone who's going to do a ton with the ball, but like, I think he's like the perfect role player to like grow into a really, really good role player. Like, I think someone like Nickeil Alexander-Walker could be a pretty good comp for him, because what is like year 7, and he's just getting around to being someone who can handle the ball and be comfortable in that type of role. But when Timberwolves now was really good at doing exactly what he was out there to do, and that's just be a really good role player. So I think something along those lines for Cam Carr could be, I think that's like probably his ceiling would be something like that. And obviously that's a really high ceiling, but even something in the middle there would be a really, really good role player.
All right. I'm gonna give you someone. I don't think you're very high on this guy though. Dalen Swain from Texas.
I thought you were going to go another way right here.
No, it's Dalen Swain's been our guy in the group chat for months and months. And again, he's another guy that I think right now he's a little bit lower. And if you're looking at mocks, he might be in the 20s, but I think he's going to rise. I think he's going to be someone who is a lottery pick come draft time. And, another guy that has the physical tools and everything, 6'7" wing. He's 210 pounds. So he's already got some of the weight on him. And pretty versatile. He's got the question mark with his shot. It's a little bit wonky, and there's questions about that. But if it does come around, his upside is really big. And even without that, he's a really good attacker and finisher. Has the tools for defense and everything. So I still think he's got a decent floor with those skills. And then if the shot comes around, he could be a huge steal. And again, similar to Carr, like if it works out, if Carr puts on weight, if Dalen Swain develops a shot or continues to develop a shot, he improved a lot last year. And if he continues to improve, those are potential stars on the wing, with their physical profiles and their measurements and everything. Like those are guys that could be massive, massive hits. And I think those are the archetypes of players that the Bucks should be looking for. In general, those are the players that thrive in the modern NBA. And then also the Bucks literally have like none of those type of players right now on the roster. Those longer wings, those like skilled athletic wings, they just don't have them. So yeah, those two guys kind of right away jump out to me as a couple of my favorites. Do you have a
comp for Swain? Like what would be your comp for Swain?
I've seen Najee Marshall, which I don't mind. And it would be like a better version of Najee Marshall, but like like the archetype.
Najee Marshall is pretty solid.
Yeah. It's not
because he's an interesting guy to comp, because like the the driving stuff, the stuff at the rim is like, it's insane. Like him at his size, the playmaker that he is, but like obviously the shot is the biggest question and, going to be the swing trade for him. I mean, and that's obviously a huge part of it, but like to see the profile is super interesting. So I was just wondering, who you had as a comp for him, but man, yeah, he's high up on my board too. He's probably one on my Bucks big board. And I know people are going to hate that, but I think like touch will prevail in the NBA, and it probably does more times than people would like to give it credit for. Especially like I said, with a guy who has touch, like he's a 80% free throw shooter in all three years in college. And, the shot is slowly starting to get there. And I think with like a mechanical change, you could get there with him and he could be a very solid 3-point shooter. So just the shot like doesn't really scare me away on Swain.
Yeah. I mean, he shot 34% on a few attempts per game. It's not like it was nothing, so he at least showed some signs of it. And I like that it's been improving. I like that, like you said, the free throw percentage is good because that's a huge indicator all the time of if a guy just has shooting touch or not, is if they can hit free throws. And when you can, usually you're going to be able to develop a 3-point shot down the road. Another comp I've seen for him, Kelly Oubre. Do you like that at all?
That's not bad. I think because, again, I think Swain is like a wing who can really handle it and really play make, really get downhill. So I don't mind that comp. Again, it's not perfect, and no comp is probably going to be perfect, but I don't mind that.
It's always funny on draft night. Like, I guess, I don't know, maybe there's something that I just feel like they used to do, or we always would laugh at how they would hype up some of these guys and be like, oh, he's got the ball handling of Kyrie Irving and he's got the mid-range of Kevin Durant. I'm like, you're just describing the best player of all time, basically. Like someone today I saw on Twitter, someone today tweeting about how Mara from Michigan, that he's like Nikola Jokic with defense. I'm like, he's still the greatest player of all time. Yeah. So anyways.
Mara is shooting up the boards though, man.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Yeah. You're up next.
Okay. Can I throw out one that I don't think people are going to like?
No, you're not allowed.
Jaden Quaidens, man.
Okay.
Again, it's not a perfect fit. Like he barely plays, so I get why it could be a tough one to grasp, especially at 10, man. But he's just like a freak, like athlete, and physically, like just insane. The combine numbers that came out for him were nuts. And I mean, he's got some film to like back this stuff up too. Like we're just not guessing with him. Like you can kind of see the vision with him as like, who he could be defensively. Like Rob Williams was my comp for him early. And again, it's funny because Rob can't stay on the floor either, but like he's that type of defender, I think. And I think he has more mobility too, which is crazy. So I just think that's a really solid player.
I had Rob Williams as my comp as well. He's not high on my list, but he's also on my list as someone that right now I have tiers, and right now he's in my tier as like an acceptable pick to me. Like if they got him, I'd be like, I can get down with it. I'm not mad at it. I don't love it because of the worry with the injury stuff. I mean, he's had a torn ACL. Yeah. He's had issues with like his meniscus, and it's just a lot of knee stuff that makes you worried. And but like similar to Robert Williams, it's always been, if he can just stay healthy, you could be getting a huge steal. And it's always been the case with Robert Williams in trade talks where you're like, you could buy low on him. And if he can just put together like a season or two of being healthy, it's a huge steal. And with Quaidens, if he can just become healthy and then these things are become a thing of the past, he could be a massive steal at the back half of the lottery. And for a guy that if he's fully healthy and played all of last season and was good, like he could have been a top 5 pick. And so you could be getting a steal, and it's kind of a gamble, but yeah, I mean, the physical profile is great. The athleticism, defense and rebounding, does all those physical dirty work things. And, yeah, I mean, if he can stay on the court, I think he'll for sure have some impact because of those things. I mean, and those are he's one of those like extra possession generating guys that
Yes.
the Bucks need and any team kind of needs in the modern NBA, where I think that's starting to be a point of emphasis. It in general is just like, can your role players generate extra possessions for you? My next selection, my guy, LeBaron Philon.
Okay. Yeah. I was leaving him for you.
AKA Ryan Rollins 2.0. Not that he's better, not that he might be better than Ryan Rollins, but I just think he's a Ryan Rollins archetype. He's a kind of like, he reminds me of Rollins in that he's super like smooth, crafty, controlled, has good shooting touch and all that. And defensively, like he's a little bit undersized, and especially with the weight, he only came in at 175. That has to get up. That's not a secret. But again, that's something I think will get up, possibly even by the time next season rolls around. Like you can easily get these guys bulked up and at least add 5 or 10 pounds to them. But yeah, just his offensive game reminds me of Rollins. He's in a similar way to Rollins. He took a big leap this year with more off the dribble stuff, more offensive creation ability, improved shooting, and really off the dribble, like just being able to create offense in a different way than people thought last year at this time. Because this year, last time I don't remember if he entered the draft or was going to enter the draft, but then he ended up dropping out and came back to school and became the main guy this year at Alabama. And went from more of a secondary to third piece to the main guy, and he thrived in it. And he averaged like 20 a game. He was super efficient from three. His 3-point percentage jumped up to 40% after being at like 31%. And yeah, all the off the dribble stuff was great. Fantastic finisher. And like I said, he has that smoothness to his game, that craft to his game that reminds me of Rollins, where it just feels like every time he drives to the rim, he's in control, patient, and I don't know, just those things. But he's also, what I like about Philon is he's also got the quickness and the burst, because it's a perfect combination. Like he blows past his defender, but then he's able to, like, once he gets into the lane, kind of slow things down, get himself controlled, play with kind of a change of pace and finish. And he's a really, really good finisher. I think he shot 67% at the rim. So, I think there's several different good traits for him, but I can understand people being a little lower on him just because of the size. I mean, I get it. He's small. It's going to take a little bit of time for him to get his body to where it needs to be, but I do really like him. I've liked him for a while, watching him at Bama, and I don't know. I'm just a believer that these guys can put on size pretty quickly. And even without that, I still think he's got the shot making ability, the offensive creation ability, and even like some of the defensive stuff. It wasn't great this year at Bama, but that's because he was the main guy, and that took a lot of his energy. He became a worse defender because of that. But if he goes back to a role in the NBA where he's not the guy and not carrying a load offensively, I think he'll be back to being a pretty good defender like he was his freshman year.
For me, like the same way I hear you talk about Philon, I think I would like Mikel Brown Jr. is like that guy for me as far as the point guards that could be available in the Bucks range. Like that, he kind of not like exactly the same traits, but I see that shot making ability.
Mm-hmm.
Brown, I see a lot of the stuff getting to the rim. I think the combine numbers for him were really, helped his case as well for this, because I think he's got, pretty good size in a role I think he can be an off-ball player if you need to. And I think when you're talking about what the Bucks future looks like, you hope Ryan Rollins is there long term. So this guy, if it is a guard, is going to just need to be able to do something off ball. And for me, that guy would be Mikel Brown Jr.
And the nice thing about Brown, like he's already on 190. He's an inch taller than LeBaron Philon. So he's already got a little bit of the size advantage. And yeah, he's been a shooter for, I think, longer than, definitely longer than Philon has been. Like Philon just kind of recently became a really good shooter. Mikel Brown, he's kind of always been that, and he's on super high volume at Louisville and stuff. So yeah, I think this is one of those things where I could see myself digging deeper into this. As much as I love Philon, I could see myself eventually getting to a point where I'm like, hey, maybe I should put Mikel Brown at that top guard spot for me for the Bucks rather than Philon. I'm not going to get to a point, I don't think, where I don't like Philon, but I could see myself rising on it like Mikel Brown. So yeah, that good call out there. Another guy, another guard, really like these are the three main guards to me in this area, unless Flemings falls, which otherwise like the three main guards to me in that range would be Philon, Micah Brown, and then Braden Burries from Arizona, who is a bit bigger guard, a little bit more of a combo guard rather than a point guard, but can do kind of both. He can put the ball in his hands and make plays, or he can play off the ball a little bit and just kind of be more of a spot up guy if he needs to be. But he seems like a pretty safe two-way guy. He can play defense. He's a smart player and just feels like someone who's going to be impactful at the next level. I don't know if he has the highest ceiling, but he feels to me like someone I'm pretty confident he will end up being a contributor at the next level. What are your thoughts on him?
This was another guy that I was like really wanting to see the measurables on and, see where he ended up measuring at. And I think this was one that kind of went the opposite way for me. Like it didn't come in great, 6'3", and 3/4, and then the 6'6" wingspan, which is not terrible, but like he's a lot more of a true off guard than Mikal and LeBaron. So like to have those measurables without like some of the on ball stuff that those two guys have is just a little bit worrisome for me. Again, like you're trying to figure out like, hey, like what does this guy look like alongside someone like Rollins long term? And then obviously, just how can you build out from there? We don't got to get into like the entire big board stuff, but like this is why for me, Braden would be under Philon as well as far as like Bucks big board stuff.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And I was a little bit higher on him, a week or two ago, and then the measurement's just a little bit disappointing. But I'm going to try not to freak out about that stuff, especially when, like you said, it wasn't like crazy. I mean, the Fleming stuff was a little bit more eye popping to me, whereas Burries was like, it's a little disappointing, but it wasn't anything too earth shattering. So still like him. Like again, these are all guys we're talking about that we would be happy with if the Bucks took. Like these are guys that we think have a pretty good shot at being good players that we definitely wouldn't be throwing a fit if the Bucks got any of these guys. At some point you're going to have your favorites. You're going to be nitpicking and finding reasons to like one over the other, but that doesn't mean that you don't like the other guys. It's just, you're going to have your favorite guys. There's going to be a reason you're putting some guys above others, but
Insurance isn't one size fits all, and shopping for it shouldn't feel like squeezing into something that just doesn't fit. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they show you options that fit your budget. Enough hunting for discounts, trying to calculate rates, and tinkering with coverages. Maybe you're picking out your very first policy, or maybe you're just looking for something that works better for you and your family. Either way, they make it simple to see your options. No guesswork, no surprises. Ready to see how easy and fun shopping for car insurance can be? Visit Progressive.com and give the Name Your Price tool a try. Take the stress out of shopping and find coverage that fits your life on your terms. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
At the end of the day, as we already covered, there's going to be 6, 8 something guys that we really are like, these are all good players that are available at this pick. So my last guy I kind of want to bring up here is probably the becoming Bucks Twitter's favorite guy, it seems. Yako Lenderborg from Michigan. And it's funny because I felt like for all of college basketball season, as there were multiple times where I tweeted during college basketball season, like, Yako Lenderborg, future Buck, blah, blah, blah. And people would get mad at me and like, oh, we can't take Yako. He sucks offensively. He's old, like, blah, 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 blah. And I think some of it was just people bitter because they're Badger fans and they don't like Michigan and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, the draft process starts and everyone's like, man, Yako Lenderborg would be such a great pick. And oh my God, his measurements and look what he did at Michigan last year. His floor is so high. And I'm like, well, why? I mean, why is this just starting now? Why? But anyways, I do think it's one of those picks where it would. There's no way I could be mad at it because he's the most ready of any player, besides the top guys who are just good enough that like they're ready right away. But he's the most NBA ready of anyone else pretty much in this draft. he's nearly 24 years old, but he's got really good size. He can do so many things well. I feel like so many areas of his game are pretty proven, especially defensively, the rebounding, the, interior scoring ability. And I think his shot, like, he's another guy that I do believe in the shot. I've been saying that for a while. I think that the free throw percentage is good. I mean, as the season went on, he became a little bit better with his 3-point shot. So I do believe in it. The ceiling obviously is capped, and that there's no secret in that. But to me, it's, if you're keeping Giannis, this is a pick that I'm like, I can't be mad at taking a guy that I just believe is ready right now to contribute in the NBA and fills a need the Bucks have as a 6'9" forward who can defend and rebound and has really nice size. He's 240 pounds, 7'2" wingspan, I think it was, something like that. So maybe even bigger. I don't even remember. But
7'3 1/4.
7'3 1/4, yeah. So I would never, I can't be mad at this pick. And I have him as pretty high up on my board. But I'm not going to put him, I'm never going to have him number 1 on my list or anything like that, because I feel like the lack of upside, the lack of, I don't know, there's not much of an avenue for him to get much better. And drafting with a top 10 pick, your first lottery pick in a decade, I can't have that guy as my number 1 guy. And the guy that I am clamoring the most for them to draft is a guy that's 24 years old and probably capped with his ceiling and not going to get much better. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around that. But at the same time, I get that he's very good and likely to be a very solid contributor as a role player at the next level. So I would totally get it if they drafted him. I'd be completely on board with it, as long as they're keeping Giannis. If they're not keeping Giannis, it doesn't really make that much sense.
Yeah, I think it probably starts there, right? If you're not keeping Giannis, I wouldn't even consider him. But on the other hand, I've said, a few things about not really wanting him. That being said, I mean, he's pretty high up my board as well. He's probably right around where a lot of people have him, especially right now as he's continued to rise. But I don't know. It's just, really tough for me to just, again, I completely understand it. I don't want him to be, like you said, the Bucks are very needy at that position, and, putting him there, I don't want to see a ton of him on the ball, but that's almost what would become of that pick, right? You're drafting him as this high floor guy, wanting him to come in and make a big impact. I just don't think he's that type of guy. I think OKC would be a really good landing spot for him, or Charlotte, because he would never be above the 4th or 5th offensive option there. And he would get to focus on doing a lot of the dirty work, or not even dirty work, but the stuff that he's really good at, just being a really good rebounder, like you said, and filling the passing lanes, or being in the passing lanes, and just doing all those little things that I think he could really help a team that's already, kind of already built out. Whereas the Bucks, yes, with Giannis, they're looking for guys to come in and compete right now. And I think he does fit that. But I think coming along with that, you would just force him to be a player that I don't think he would be. That version of him wouldn't be that good. I just, for that reason, that's why I'm kind of pulling back on him as a Bucks guy.
Because I think that the thing is, if they drafted him, everyone's immediate, at least on Twitter and stuff, everyone's immediate reaction would be, he's our starting 3. And
yes,
and yes, I think at the time of the draft, and based on our current roster at that time, yes, he kind of would have to be. But I would hope that that's not the plan for him, because I don't think that's the best role for him would be. Because I think the Bucks need a starting 3 that can do things with the ball in his hands. And as you said, I don't think that's his strong suit. I'm not saying he can't do it at all. I mean, he showed some flashes, especially at UAB when he was more of an on-ball guy. He showed some flashes of doing it, but I don't think that's who he is, especially at the next level. As that's not going to be his strong suit, is a guy that can go get buckets for you and is a creator and stuff. He's more of a dirty work type of guy. And my comp for him was kind of PJ Washington. I don't know if you like that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a solid comp. I think coming out, a lot of people are really high on what he does with the ball, and then the switch ability defensively that like both those things, I'm just not all the way there on. Like don't get me wrong, he moves really well for someone his size. Like we said, the measurements at the combine were really good. Like I just don't see him being like someone who's legit guarding twos or guarding even threes like that much. I think he's a four who's going to defend fours and, you know, maybe defend up a bit. He's going to defend down certain matchups. And then, you know, offensively, I don't think he's a guy who should have the ball a ton trying to play make or even, you know, creating on second side or, you know, I just don't see him as that. Like he's definitely a guy who's going to be, you know, well served as a guy who can catch and shoot, catch and rip through, get to the rim, like that stuff. Yes. But as like a creator, and again, this goes back to like where the Bucks would like try to have this guy be. Like we seen the Bucks last year, just my bad, struggle to create offense and have guys to, you know, do something off the bounce, and like forcing him into that role, I just don't think is a good like path for him to be the best version of himself.
Yeah, it could almost be like and again, they're not the same. I'm not saying this, but it could be a similar situation to kind of throwing Kuzma in that role where that's not really who he is. And there's a version of Kuzma that's a decent player in there. And I do think Lenderborg has some, like, I'm not saying he's Kuzma, and I think he's smarter than Kuzma. I think he's got some better traits than Kuzma. That I like him more than Kuzma, but it could be a similar type of situation where it's like having him as your starting three, like that's just not the role like that. And you know, again, him being $20-something million player as your starting three, like that in that setting, he's going to be underwhelming and he's not going to be exactly what you want him to be. But there's a different scenario where maybe he could be a better player for you. And yeah, so I don't know. I'm just trying to think of just trying to comp it a little bit, and at least help people understand kind of what we're talking about here. But I think another thing to note is that, and I kind of touched on it earlier, but it's very hard to know. And this is always an issue because the draft is just before free agency and before the offseason. It's hard to know exactly who I want the Bucks to target because I don't know what the rest of the roster is going to look like. I don't know what they plan on doing in free agency. I don't know what they're going to do with Giannis. I don't know any of those answers. And so I can sit there and say, I want them to draft a win now player. I want them to draft a wing. I want them to draft, et cetera. But it's like if they had a plan in place behind the scenes that we're getting Trey Murphy, something like that. And you're like, well, then that changes everything. All of a sudden you're like, we don't know what they have planned behind the scenes. We didn't know last year they were getting Miles Turner. We didn't know that they were even, that was even close to a possibility. And so there's just, I don't know, like there's a lot of moving parts. It's always hard to exactly predict, but we can only go off of what we know right now. And obviously right now, needing a player in that 6'7" to 6'9" range with some size that can do things with the ball in their hands. Like that's kind of the priority, whether it's through the draft or free agency or trade or whatever, like that's the priority. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to know exactly what we're going to want or need or what these picks will look like to us come 2 months from now, because it's like, yeah, we don't know what the roster will look like 2 months from now, but yeah, I think all the guys, I mean, anyone else you want to mention as possible are your favorite guys?
I mean, I think that was we hit on a good range of guys. What I would
Nate Ament, no Nate Ament love on this podcast.
We're not showing him love. We're not. You can't do that, dude. Okay, let's say top 4 goes. And let's take your guy Fleming's out of it. Which one, if somebody falls to you at 10, what would be if it's Wagler, Acuff, whoever it might be, which one would you be most excited about?
I probably would be most excited about, I don't really like Wagler or Acuff, man. Not that I hate them. I don't think either one of them would be thrilling to me. I just have worries about them. I don't know. I guess Wagler would be my answer, but I kind of like where we are because I don't have to worry about the Wagler Acuff stuff. And it's like someone else is going to take them. We kind of know that. Whatever. We'll take whoever gets left over. I don't know. And again, I'm not saying that those guys could not be very good players. Part of me is I'd almost rather have someone else take that experiment on, and we'll see if, like, Wagler's got the issue with his lack of athleticism, lack of burst, lack of separation, and then Acuff's obviously got the issues with his lack of defense. He's very small and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm kind of just like, I don't know. And all these guys have some flaws. There's a reason they're not going top 2, top 3, but it's like, I don't know. Neither of those guys would thrill me.
I just wonder if there's a world where, like, I think Mara goes before 10. And I think, like, what if Yaxel continues to climb and someone takes him before the Bucks are on the board? So that's 2 guys, like, that, you were kind of penciling in guards for, and, guys get pushed on the board. Like, what does that look like? And what guy could fall? Like, is it going to be Fleming's?
To me, the most likely is Fleming's.
Right. Yeah.
Because I already started seeing, because Acuff and Waller got all the buzz late in the season with how they played. And so they already were starting to jump him on boards. And then, now it's like Fleming's is obviously smaller than people thought. So he's going to fall even more. Like, I could see some of that happening. And to me, the guy that would fall would be Fleming's. I don't really see it happening with Acuff or Wagler, but, like, I don't know, if we got Acuff or Wagler, are you, like, thrilled? Are you, I mean, I wouldn't be, I'm not going to be mad, but I'd just be like, okay, we'll see what happens. I would be less excited than I think most of our fan base would be.
Man, that's tough, because I see it with both those guys. Again, like, when we're talking about, Bucks fit, that's when it comes, like, a little murky. But man, I wouldn't, it'd be tough for me not to be excited, especially about Wagler, who I do really like. And I can see him pairing really well with Rollins. So
I'm not like I would be bent out of shape or anything. It's just
right. No, for sure.
I think compared to the rest of the fan base who would be like, this is a gift from heaven, I'd be like, okay, like, it's we got a talented player at 10, a guy that it'd be a little bit of a steal in quotes, but I don't know. I still would be like, I'm still a little skeptical is all I'm saying.
For sure.
But again, you could say it about any pick that they make at 10, because again, there's reasons they're falling to 10. Not everyone's not getting a perfect player or anything, but I don't know. That's just kind of been my thinking for a little bit. And again, as I look more further into these guys, I might be like, you know what? I'm just being stupid, and these guys are just that good that I should be thrilled if they fall to us, and they're that talented offensively that, some of this other stuff doesn't matter. Maybe I get to that point. I don't know. And I'm part of me is biased because I've liked Fleming's all year and he's been my guy. And I don't know, but yeah, that's still kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guys, man. It's like, there's the 4 that are going to go off the board for sure. But then after that, I think Acuff goes. But then after that, that's when you're like, okay, now it can really go, anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, there's a wide, like, again, Mara could be right up there. I mean, I don't know. You could see a team like all of a sudden taking a risk on Quaintance. You could see.
Yeah. What do you think about Mara? Like,
I haven't looked enough into him. I mean,
okay,
it's hard. Like, again, he's just a classic. Like, I think he's going to be productive. He's going to be a good player. I don't know how high the ceiling is though. And I mean, yeah, like, I don't know if I trust that the shot's actually going to be anything, but.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've done like surface level stuff. I really liked it, but with Miles on the roster, I'm just not going to do a ton on, as much as I'm doing, like, for guys like that are going to be in our range of, with position and need. I don't see them taking like a true big like that though, with, what they got going.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. To me, I'm not going to have Mara high on my list because of the position. And it's not anything to do necessarily with Miles Turner. It's just, I don't know if we've talked about this. I don't really believe it's smart in this day and age to use a high pick on a center, on a limited center like that. And I don't think it's smart to use or pay a limited center that much money. And even, just a center in general, like Miles Turner, unless it's Nikola Jokic or Victor Wembanyama, it's just like, I feel like you can get serviceable centers for pretty cheap. And and I think maybe that's, something the Bucks made a mistake with Miles Turner. We'll see. I still believe in Miles Turner, but it's like it value wise and, with the, I mean, I don't know. Like we did start to see it a little bit in person last year where it's like, shit, this dude we're paying $2 million for is playing a little bit more than our $30 million a year center. And so I don't know.
No,
it just it would make me nervous to use a top 10 pick on a big that, especially one that can't shoot. And you're just like, okay, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously the 7'4" guys like that don't grow on trees. I mean, that's valuable in itself. And he's a skilled player. Like he's smart and can pass a little bit and all that stuff. And definitely a good player. It's just, it would make me nervous.
Yeah, that's all fair.
All right. That'll do it. First original Bucks top draft picks for each of us. And we will be, as I said, going deeper into all of these guys as, the weeks roll on here leading up to the draft. Have a lot of draft stuff coming up. That's kind of going to be basically all we do on this podcast, unless there's news that breaks regarding Giannis or anything, which I'm kind of glad we didn't end up talking about today because I don't really want to talk about it, man. I don't want to talk about Giannis. I think he's staying. Whatever. I'm not going too far into it. But yeah, I think a lot of what we're doing in the next 6 weeks will be draft related. And I'm just excited to get into that stuff because it's been a long time coming and something the only thing we've had, the light at the end of the tunnel at the end of the season was the draft. So excited to get into that. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all that stuff. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Follow myself at Nathan Marzian on Twitter, Stev at Bucks_breakdown, the podcast at BucksU_pod. And as always, Bucks and Six.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you might not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. They make it super simple. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with coverage options tailored to your choices. Plus, you'll see which discounts you may qualify for, like the online quote discount or savings for paying in full. In fact, 99% of Progressive Auto customers earn at least one discount. See if you could save when you switch to Progressive. You'll feel good about making a savvy choice. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little extra cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.